biggest challenge about creating space to think about the future is that it's so very, very busy on an everyday basis. And the second point, I think, is that things are changing so very rapidly that if we don't make the space to talk about the future, we're going to find that our students are just caught out way behind, and none of us want that to happen. Stop and dream about the future, have a bit of a vision, and to think that there are no barriers, because if we have a vision for the future, then we can actually think about how we might get there. One of the things that our board has done in its strategic planning is to begin by actually thinking about what a school graduate is going to be like in 10 or 15 years' time. And we now use that model when we actually do even strategic planning with students to get them to think out there for the future. Forget about the barriers, don't worry about that, and then come back to that later. Someone else can work out how to get there. For me, the value of being involved in secondary futures have been firstly on a personal front. I was really excited about being involved, and then I found that it's given me the space and the challenge to think way beyond what I would normally have thought about. There haven't been any boundaries, and in fact we've been almost forced to think beyond those boundaries, so that's been very exciting on a personal front. The good thing then has been to be able to take that back into daily life and try to, I guess firstly at my own school, start thinking about how we can look to the future. One of the problems is that the school staff and students and boards don't have as much time as we've had to be involved in this project, but I've found people very open to it. For example, our board did a workshop looking to the future, a secondary futures workshop, and we still talk about the things that we talked about at that board meeting. And so it's had quite an influence on us. It's changed the way our strategic plan is worded. It's made us think, and a lot of the time now, even board members that weren't at that original meeting talk about the future. And I think including that word has made a big difference. Interestingly, I think that some of our current students find it harder to frame that up, because for them, if we're talking about changing the education system, it doesn't necessarily change what's happening for them in the here and now. And so a challenge is for us to say, what can we do now to help prepare you better for the future, but what can we also do for our other students in the future? So it's an interesting challenge. I think the message to our students is that the world of Lincoln High School is not the real world, and that we need them to really find out about what's out there in the whole world, and then about what they think they're going to need to be there, because it's really easy for our students in our current education system to lack the understanding about the pace of change and the global world, the world being nearer. Going for the future, I feel fairly confident in the next few years in our own organisation, because I think we've done some of the groundwork, but the challenge will be to keep the thinking going, and I'm really excited by the idea that there are some tools that are being developed that are going to be put into our hands for future thinking that we can use. The other wonderful opportunity we've got is the revised New Zealand curriculum, with a principle on future focus. That means that schools and boards and communities and students have to have something framed around future thinking, and I'm very optimistic that that is going to help us to go ahead without the Touchstone Group and the Secondary Futures project. I still think we're delivering an education designed for the masses. And so that would be the biggest thing I would like to think, that students would have pathways that were much more individual than they are at the moment. My name is Linda Tame, and I'm on the executive of the Secondary Principals Association of New Zealand.